Actually,
The broadcast started.
hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Fieldwire's customer panel today. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to join before we begin. Oh, hey everyone, good morning. I'm sorry I was muted. Welcome to Fieldwire's customer panel. Let's give everyone a couple of minutes before we start the webinar. All right, we'll go ahead and get things started here. Thank you everyone for joining. Today, we have the privilege of listening to our valuable customers who use Fieldwire. The panel again is a unique opportunity for all of us to gain insights into the real world experiences of our power users. My name is Pranati Gompa and I'm a construction success manager here at Fieldwire. Awesome. Before we begin, I would like to address a few housekeeping items. The session is being recorded and we'll send you the link to this recording in the follow-up email. And to ensure a smooth session, the attendees have been muted throughout the session, but we really want you to take advantage of the live interaction and an extended Q&A session. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions you might have in the Q&A panel. We'll do the Q&A at the end of the session, and we have a raffle for our Q&A participant. So whoever wins it gets a Fieldwire t-shirt. So please get in all your questions into the Q&A panel. For any questions that we don't get to, our experts will reach out to you directly. We also have some poll questions during the webinar for you to participate in. So please feel free to select your answers when the questions pop up. And additionally, we have a short 5-minute survey at the end of the webinar, which we would really appreciate if you could fill it out. This survey helps us to determine the usefulness of the content that we deliver and also helps us to plan for future webinars. Let's take a quick look at our agenda today. We'll start with brief introductions from our panelists, followed by a discussion on why they chose Fieldwire, how they're liking it, their use cases, and also some interesting experiences they've had with Fieldwire. And after that, we'll open the floor to an extended Q&A session. Awesome. So before we dive into the webinar, let's take a moment to fill out the next two poll questions so that we can learn a little bit more about you. There comes the first question. What type of company do you work for? Awesome. Then we have our second question. What is your role at your company? Awesome. Without further ado, let's get started with the introductions. Hey Bert, hey Gerald, welcome to the panel today. And can you please briefly introduce, mentioning your role, company you represent, and how long you have been using Fieldwire? Let's start with you, Bert.
How y'all doing? My name is Bert Aquila. I'm with ADT, now Everon. I've been in the business for 41 years, maybe 42. No, I quit counting at 35. Um, I'm a subcontractor in security, fire, life safety, and voice. And I've been using Fieldwire since 2016. So it's been quite a while. Not as heavy back in the early days. I really got heavy into Fieldwire in this past 2 years. So I was using it for minimal things early on in my career with Fieldwire's usage. So, but the last 2 years, yeah, I've been using it pretty extensively on every project.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Gerald.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gerald Soria. I'm a project manager with Bachman and Woody out here in the beautiful city of Stockton, California. I've been in the electrical industry for about 15 years, in the office for the past couple of years. Bachman and Woody is a commercial and industrial electrical contractor. You name it, we basically do it, from government contracts, private sector. We do all sorts of different things. We've gotten into Fieldwire out of a need for trying to communicate more efficiently with our crews out in the field. With well over 100 plus electricians or more out in the field, communication was vital to keeping our projects going. And so, one of the things that I was tasked with was finding a resource that could efficiently communicate with the crew. And we found Fieldwire back in 2022. and we've never looked back since. It's been a fantastic tool for us to be able to get information from the office to the guys in the field, and from the field back to the office. From our pre-construction to prefabrication, it's been a critical tool for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introductions, both of you. Now let's delve into the reasons why you guys chose Fieldwire. Gerald, let's start with you. You're fairly a new customer. Like you said, you have been using Fieldwire since 2022. Could you maybe share your initial impressions on Fieldwire, and also maybe like what are the key factors that led to your decision to adopt Fieldwire?
So one of the biggest things that kind of led us down direction of Fieldwire was, we really wanted to be able to communicate with the field. And, I worked in the field, as a journeyman electrician, foreman in the field for 15 years. And you don't have time for paperwork. You don't have time for a lot of things because you got a job to do. And so instead of trying to figure out what the office thinks the field needed, we went to the field and asked them what their needs were. And we needed a tool that was simple and quick for them to get information, to mark up their blueprints, to get submittals to them, resources out to the field. And we found that Fieldwire was easy to understand. The learning curve was minimum. I remember I was working with an older gentleman, one that perhaps wasn't as savvy with technology as myself or somebody else. And when he basically vouched saying, "Hey, this is the best thing I've ever used," that kind of showed me, okay, this is a tool that could work for us. Because, like I mentioned, ease of use is critical, especially when you're trying to get things into the hands of the people in the field. They got to be able to easily use it, pick it up, and go. So our experience has been phenomenal. Obviously, there's always a learning curve with everything, but by seeing the end goal of where we want it to be, has allowed us to create a roadmap to efficiently roll it out in phases to the different departments in our company. So that's kind of what drove us to Fieldwire, was its ease of use, and as well as having direct communication with Fieldwire. Fieldwire support is phenomenal. Compared to its competitors, we have access to technicians and access to support lines. Our sales reps have always been there since day one, and we feel we generally have a partner in the industry. So that's some of the few reasons we've chose Fieldwire.
That's awesome to hear. But on the same lines, you have been with Fieldwire for a few years now. What improvements have you seen or noticed since you started using Fieldwire? And maybe can you highlight any challenges Fieldwire helped you to overcome that you might not have anticipated when you started using this program?
Yeah, I just first off want to echo the same thing Gerald said. All of that that you talked about is vital, and it made a difference with us too. It was the same exact scenario. Um, we've we've put this to use in the field, and the improvements that I've seen just in the past year with reporting, the ease of creating your own forms and stuff. I make a lot of forms. I have, specific ones that are set up in template for all of my people to use. I use certain forms for myself, and I'm constantly developing every day. That's a big thing for me is forms. You guys have introduced tools, a little bit of improvement there, and we're working through some of those items as well. The major changes that I've seen so far is just the streamlined ability to get from point A to point B on the Fieldwire, getting from reports, sending reports, utilizing those tools for ultimate communication to the field. And that was really what it was about for us at the very beginning, was communicating to the field and being able to properly put together a nice presentation, which I feel is very easy to do and quickly in the field and send it to my customer. And that has been a huge thing for us, is being able to do that. Back in the early days, not so much. It wasn't as easy as it is today, but and I'm saying early days, meaning 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, it was really a primary product. The biggest challenges that I've seen so far with this is getting people to think in the same mindset, think the same way that I think with the tool, communicate with the tool, saturate yourself with the tool. And I really feel like when you saturate your day and you start your day with the tool, along with your email and your other, but I have three programs that I use exclusively, and I don't deviate, and that's where I go. If I need project information, I go to two places. If I need, accounting information, I go to one place, things like that. And I'm sure Gerald and others do the same thing. But that has been the greatest challenges is just getting the mindset. We're working through it and we're showing value. I go to the sites. I work with the teams in the field. And I also, train a little bit on for the actual subs that work for me. I will train their people up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think there are two major things that you guys touched on. One is your unique use cases, but also before we get into that, you guys touched a little bit upon how easy it is to use, you're able to train. Maybe let's go talk a little bit about adoption, because we know in an industry like ours in construction, it's very tough to take a tool, and the biggest challenge is to make people buy into it and like get the adoption on a larger scale. So let's go back to you, Gerald. You have just gone through this process recently. So how was the process been to getting your team up and running on Fieldwire?
So with anything, having a good roadmap and a good vision of where you want a system to be is critical. Whether you're changing out from, a local server to a cloud-based system, everything is critical to have the vision there, and the leadership needs to buy in. Seeing the learning curve of the field and other staff, because our office staff, we're talking about 50 plus office staff, you're talking about 20 superintendents, 100 plus field crews. I mean, it's a lot of people to roll this out to. So we did it in phases. I began the charge with my initial projects, my initial foreman, and kind of rolling it out and building a good base of leadership to be able to help train other people as we're going along. And the worst thing you could do is just give them a huge packet and say, here's this whole thing for you to work with. So we did it in pieces, right? We started with plans. We then started with files. We then went to forms and slowly added things, until we ended up with the complete package. Not only do we use plans, we use the spec sections, tasks, forms. We use the 3D models, submittals, RFIs. I mean, we basically use every aspect of Fieldwire at this point. And it's been a process. It's had its share of challenges, but as long as you keep the vision there and you do it in steps and understand that it's not something that happens overnight, you know, that's where it is. Having a good understanding and setting the correct expectations as you roll these things out is critical, because you can't set an expectation that something is going to be absolutely perfect from day one. Understand that it's going to have its challenges, understand that it's going to have its processes, but the end result is so much better than when you were beginning. And that's what's key there. I could sit here and I could tell you about the old system that we ran with straight up PDF documents and just sending emails back and forth and trying to centralize information. But now that we have everything in one point, now it's like, oh, why didn't we do this sooner? So, that's been our rollout, is a slow process with a clear vision of where we're going.
Yep. Actually, I have the privilege to say that I've worked with you through this process. I remember how we planned and how we actually broke down each step as to, hey, let's introduce this part first, and then let's develop this use case. I really admire the amount of planning you had, or like the vision you had in rolling this out to your team as well, Gerald. On the same lines, I know we release a lot of new features, or like some of the other new thing comes out, and you already have your workflow. So how have you been able to continue to improve your workflows with maybe integrating with the new features and get more value off of Fieldwire?
Okay, so initially when I started it, it was really a note-taking thing. I used it primarily for myself, just to really track my own jobs and internally and everything. Um, what I've been doing with my teams is I'm literally, like I said, I saturate it into the product. So I dump all of my RFIs into there. I put tags on the drawings. I do all the file work that's supposed to have. I've worked through that where I can lock out certain files and give them access to certain files and things like that. I load their contracts into files, and so if there's ever an issue with cost or anything, I can go back to their contract, or I can tell them, hey, go read your contract. It's right there at your fingertips. You've got your phone, bring it up, and things like that. They've really appreciated the fact that, because I use Bluebeam for my as builting and stuff. Um, we're not a high tech house. We don't do any BIM or 3D modeling or anything like that because it's really not expected of us in our industry. What we do is pay other people to do it. But with the way that I roll my drawings out and the way that I roll the information out on the drawings, I do quick retrofits on it with the Bluebeam loaded up, and they've got now ready drawings, and it's always up to date. The note taking on Fieldwire is up to date. We're doing like you, Gerald. We've rolled out, and we're doing notes and everything. And the guys, I've got a certain amount of people that are out there just taking pictures. That's what they do. They go to the pin and they take a picture, and boom, that's all they do. That's their job, is to make sure that everything gets documented. And then I've got, the field foremen that actually dig deep and they answer questions on the forums. They're more directed towards what I'm doing as far as direction to the job, you know and they've got the guys to go out and make sure everything's documented. But yeah, the improvements are taking large steps now. They're not these little baby steps that I noticed a long time ago. um, when you're doing and you're rolling out much faster. You're rolling out different features quicker, and I think you got a lot of feedback from guys like us in the field that are just maybe struggling along, and then you show us something, and it's so simple, and it just pops. So um, yeah, that's where we're at now.
That's awesome. Let's get into the most exciting part. Let's go ahead and discuss about your use cases. But just before that, if you guys have any questions, this is for everyone who's on the webinar. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A panel on the controls. Gerald, do you want to start with sharing your use case? Awesome, we can see your screen.
Okay, well, so to kind of give a brief overview of kind of how we work the system, there's a lot you can do with it. And something that's really nice about it is being able to custom tailor it to the use that you use within your company. In our case, we have a pre-construction division, which does a lot of design. They go into the modeling, they look at prints, they look a lot. They're like the initial people who to look at a project. And then it goes to the project managers, and from there we kind of assign it to our pre-fabrication department, which will make duct banks or anything else that we got to do ahead of time. And so the tasks has been always a way of us to kind of track everything that's going on. So right now you're looking at we're looking at a live project that we're doing in the city of Roseville, and you can kind of see like pre-construction tasks, prefab tasks, field tasks that need to be done. And again, when you initially look at it, it might seem overwhelming, but when you look at it as a piece, because the way I kind of see it was when I was in the field, I would have my blueprints out and I would mark the different things I got to do. And this is essentially the same thing. I was just creating a task or an item that needs to be done. So in this case, we have all the different tasks. I won't dive into tasks, but a couple of things that we do use a lot of. We do use the project management suite. We don't use the change orders quite yet, but we're making our way there. But we definitely use the submittal section. And the submittal section is quite nice because now that Fieldwire has been tweaking and adding more features to it, we can now generate our submittals from the spec sections. We could request, we have our vendors on the submittals as well. So when I need basic material or I need a submittal for a light fixture or a electrical gear or anything that I need, my vendor will submit directly to Fieldwire, which is fantastic. I could then review it and push it forward to the general contractor. And it's nice that we know that if you're a subcontractor, you're aware that general contractors have their own systems and their own methodology of doing things. So it's nice that from Fieldwire, I could email directly out my submittals to the general contractor, regardless of what system they use, which is nice because then I could be able to track everything I need. So you can see my dimes I've requested, things that are pending, things that are, closed out. I have all my revisions if there's any revision. Oh yeah, so here you can see I have one revision from the original. And I like the fact that this is very clean and very simple. The guys in the field can easily follow the flow of work from the beginning all the way to the end, as well as following any activity that happened during the process. And it really streamlined everything to be able to see everything from here to go to one spot and do it. And it's the same thing with our RFIs. As RFIs come out and we push them out to the general contractors, you can see that here's one that went to a general contractor. We can easily send them out from here and track it in real time. So once we do that, again, access to our spec sections, we live and die from our spec sections and the type of work that we do. It's extremely critical to have our spec sections readily available to be able to reference it and do anything that we got to do. So when Fieldwire added this particular feature, it was a game changer for us because we can now reference everything within the submittals and RFIs to our crew. So that is really nice. A couple of items that have been really critical for us. We've been doing modeling for quite some time, but we've never been able to really get it to the guys in the field. It's always been something to kind of like brainstorm and think, hey, this is what we want to do. But now with Fieldwire, we could actually design a lot of what we're doing in the underground, and we could get it to the guys in the field. They could view it on their iPads. And so it goes from just a drawing to be able to visually see the different EV charger stations, our duct banks, our vaults that are going in the ground, Christie boxes, electrical panels, gear. It's all right here, and it's become so critical for our guys to be able to visually see it. Because now not only, do they get a drawing, but they can visually see a 3D representation. But of course, we know in the field, it's nice to get a 3D rendering, but I mean, in the field, things change. But at least having a general idea of where things are going has been phenomenal. It's been really, really helpful. And, to the point of the forms have been absolutely imperative in use in our systems. From our daily logs to capturing everything that's going on a job site. We know that unfortunately in the construction industry, sometimes you might have to have difficult conversations with different subcontractors or with general contractors. Having items like daily logs and backup for the positions that you're taking is extremely important in the industry that we're in. So having information available for us to present in a clean and professional manner to the general contractor or to our subcontractors of our position is important. And having that information here is so important. From photography, 3D photos to regular photography, we're able to document everything we do on a job site. We're able to get information ahead of time. So, right, for example, right here I have a job in Patterson, California. Unfortunately, we've had to swap out foremen a couple of times, but we've been able to get one foreman to another foreman, and the information just flows so much more cleanly than if we didn't have this information. So, again, the whole process of everything is having everything there is so centralized. It's just so simple and so easy. But again, everything has a learning curve, and it was a process to get to this point. But we're able to get here, and we're only getting better with every passing day. As we get new foremen and new crew members that jump directly into here, they don't go backwards. It's all moving forward, and it's been a good process. Like I said, it's had its challenges, but at the point that we're at now, moving information from, again, creating a task to everything that we got to do has been great. And it's a tool that we cannot live without anymore.
Awesome. Thank you so much for an extensive presentation on your use case. But would you like to share your screen and give our viewers an idea of your use case?
Can you see me?
Not yet.
It's still spinning. Sorry about that. Can you see me now?
No,
Huh.
still waiting to view your screen. Um,
Let me stop it and restart it. There we go.
sure.
Can everyone see now?
Um, Not yet.
Very odd. We rolled through this earlier, and I'm not seeing anything different. It's saying it's showing my screen, but I just get the wheel, the
Oh, maybe
spinning.
it's okay. Maybe it's some issue with the internet. I can actually share my screen if you want to maybe talk through your use case.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Huh.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can just talk through your use case. Go ahead, Bert.
Yeah. So initially, when I started using this, we started very light. It's very lightly. And I did do a lot of surveys with this, and it was helping the sales team and things like that. So once I got started with the surveys, it just kind of evolved into um, the actual tracking of a program, okay, or a project. We were doing that already on my level, but not on a corporate level. Okay, so um, starting out with doing surveys was a good way to report back to our sales team and all of that. We developed different tools. We did reports and task tracking and going through all of the processes, loading the drawings, loading um, the devices on the drawings and getting all of the pins set, all of everything that tracks through a program. You know, so I wanted to show you some of my um, pins in the way that I do my tasks. The photo taking is a big thing for us because doing doing this, we track through the job. But the thing is at the very end of the project, I utilize this report with every point documented as an as-built, all along with drawings. So that's been a big thing for us. The form usage again is really the same as Gerald in how to communicate with the teams, how to communicate with your customers, sending different communications to different people. I'm new to the submittals and RFIs piece of it, and that's only because we just updated our systems and we made the jump on a corporate level to do regional rollouts of the Fieldwire. So we're going to be rolling out to the different cities and having primary what do you want to call it? Teach the teacher. We'll have each PM out there, one of them trained up real well, like I am, and start rolling it out to the other PMs and to the field, and having them do it on their end, along with Fieldwire's support. I mean, and I do want to say that I've had incredible support from Fieldwire. It's like I feel like I'm a big shot, trying to work through this stuff. And I know I'm just one guy, um, but I've managed to roll this out to our company. And there's stragglers out there that have been using it, but now there's a corporate commitment on it. And so we're kind of in line with that. Um, yeah, that's really my huge, my little use case. I call it the big little use case. But we're not a general contractor. We're a sub. Now we do our own work, and we drive subs, and we do get 2 and 3 layers deep with our subs and different folks on it. So um, I run the jobs on a philosophy of being a mini GC. That's how I look at it, and that's the way that it works. It goes through on my end of things. I'm very excited about the RFI tab and the submittals tab, to really delving in deep like Gerald's team has, and getting that all set up. I've started on the fringes of it, but we're pushing it pretty hard now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks both of you for sharing your use cases. In the lieu of time, let's open the floor for a Q&A session. And before we delve into the Q&A, I just have a last poll for you all. Let's launch the poll. And there it is. Just a quick question. Has it been helpful to hear how our customers are getting benefited from Fieldwire, looking at their use cases? Again, if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the Q&A panel. And Gerald, let's get started with the Q&A session. Gerald, the first question is for you. Was the 3D model that you showed, was it generated by Fieldwire or was it supplied by the architect?
So we do both. So for example, the model that we're looking at, let me share my screen. Can you share my screen?
Yes, give me a second.
While we do that, oh, perfect, here we go. Show my screen. Perfect. Can you see my screen? Okay. So this model that you see here has been one of the first things we do when we get a project is we ask for the most updated CAD and Revit files, as well as any type of blueprints, right? Which I think is pretty standard practice. Everybody wants the latest and greatest prints. But then we push our general contractors for any type of Revit files. Many times they might not have it, but we do generate our own model. So this was a compilation of stuff that we received from the general contractor, but as well as stuff that we generate ourselves. So these duct banks and everything, our pre-construction crew actually does modeling of like electrical conduits, boxes, electrical panels. If I go here, I can see a model that was generated entirely by our crew. It's one of the houses in there, and it shows the muscle control panels. It's completely generated in-house, and our guys work in Revit, and then they kick it out into the file format that's used for Fieldwire, which is, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a general file that's used by a lot of different companies worldwide. And so we generate it in-house in Revit, kick it out through here, and we either generate our own models or we use the Revit file from the general contractor and build on top of that as well. So we do it both ways.
Awesome. Thanks for that. The next question is, both of you have talked about the value in documenting with pictures. Would you please expand on exactly how it works? Do team members upload their own pictures, upload the pictures from their phones, or Fieldwire app takes the pictures directly? But maybe you want to get started on how you guys upload pictures?
Yeah, very easy from anywhere you need to do it from, field, from your desk, 10 miles away. It doesn't really matter. If you've got the file, you can just get on your PC and dump it in there. If you've got it, if you're there on hand, you just access the pin, open the camera feature, and take a picture, and it's committed to the pin right then and there. I've done it every which way you can possibly do it because, like Gerald was saying, there's some folks out there that aren't quite tech savvy, and they just don't deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. They just want to take a picture, text it to you, and those are the bigger challenge guys. But yes, it's very simple to get in and just open your Fieldwire, and it's in the process from PC to field is relatively the same, except for the PC you're actually taking the picture and loading it into your files or your photos and then attaching it to the pin and bringing it
Awesome.
in.
Gerald, do you have anything to add? I think I also saw some 360 photos in yours. Would you want to like talk about that?
You're
Um,
muted.
you're muted, Gerald.
There we go. Much better. All right, just like Bert said, you could upload the photos a variety of different ways. The best way to do it, in my experience, has been through the app itself. So whether you're using Android or iOS, in the field, the guys can take the picture directly inside the Fieldwire app, either as a task, as Bert said, or directly into the photos section. And it's super easy and it's very simple to do it that way. If you have a 360 camera like we do, we're starting to outfit all our crews with 360 cameras. So that way we could get, updates here, dealing with problems in the field. So, being able to quickly take a 360 photo and send it within the app itself. Again, this is done. Oh, you can see here, he's got his phone and he's running, you can't see Fieldwire, but he's running Fieldwire to take this picture. So the pictures are taken within Fieldwire. You can take pictures from either your gallery or your camera roll and upload it into Fieldwire. So there's a process for that as well. Or if you're on your computer and you get an email of slew of pictures from a general contractor, you could easily upload photos through this new photo section right there. So there's a variety of different ways to get the photos into the app, which then once it's here, you could share it to the whole cruise and everybody can see it.
Awesome. The next question, what are a couple of examples of forms that you guys use that you feel are helpful? Gerald, would you want to start?
Sure. I will show my screen again. So let me pull up one over here. Let's go into the forums. So for example, here, I think one of the critical ones, I think across the industry, no matter what industry you're in, is a daily log, right? So this is a custom form that we generated, which is once you get the hang of it, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get the idea of how it works, it's actually pretty simple. And we generated our own, because we used to have our own daily log that we generated and stuff. And now we have it through the forums, which is fantastic because now it's literally a little through the app. It's drag and drop. It's type in information, little check boxes, and now we have a daily form that can be signed by all the crew members, showing everything that's going on, and then we could easily kick out from here an actual PDF form to send to the general contractor if we have to. The beauty of it is that a lot of the forms that we use can be generated and created. Another example here is an internal RFI. If you're a project manager or an owner, you get a slew of different questions from the field. Not all the questions need to be RFIs to the general contractor. So this is kind of our filter here. So if there's a significant question that comes in from the field, they'll generate it here. We'll have a meeting about it. We'll talk about it. And if it's something that needs to be resolved here, we could resolve it. Or I created custom answers here, right? I have closed, we answered it internally, an external RFI is required, and closed RFI generated. That way my guys know where it is at the process at any given moment. So we have everything, any type of form you could think of, equipment, panel schedules. I mean, whatever you think that you need as an electrical contractor or any type of general contractor, you could generate within a form. And then the key part to all this is you could easily export these forms as a PDF with a logo and everything, and it's something that you could present to the customer, whether it be a time and material, right, which I have right here, none for this job, but time T&M tags to charge the customer, say, hey, you owe me this time and money. You could do all that within forms.
Awesome. But what are your company's go-to forms? What are the couple of?
The go-to form primarily for the field is the daily report. That's how they communicate with me. It's crucial. I have safety forms that are on there that go a little bit deeper, and also the daily does touch on the safety issue. So if something happened and the foreman does his daily, he puts his daily in, and it says, a guy got zapped or something on a box, then that's logged there, and then we have the safety form that's official to our company, and then that goes out, and then it helps the GCs and the electricals uh, figure out their next steps as far as reporting goes. The other forms that I use are the RFI. I use the material tags. I've kind of customized that as far as the pricing and things like that are crucial to that change at that point in time. I also use those forms and reports for
Mhm.
change order opportunities. And what I do is I do the survey, or I call it a survey, but basically I generate a report of the items or things that are going to change with photos and documentation. And then I attach everything to it. So I have drawing uh, snippets and everything that goes into it. Plus, I can attach any files that are necessary to send out to the sales team so they can price it up. Normally, when I send something through Fieldwire like that, I never get a question back. All I get is a change order, and I present the change order. And that has been a game changer for us, because the communication on that level has proved 100% they're getting it. They see it, they get all the information, and they're able to react.
That's awesome. Thank you, both of you, for such a solid Q&A session. This concludes our Fieldwire customer panel. Again, a very big thank you to both of you for sharing your valuable experiences, and also thank you to our audience for joining us today. Just reiterating, a link of this recording will be sent to you guys in the follow-up email, and we would appreciate if you can stay over for a couple of minutes to answer our survey. Like I said, we have a raffle winner. It's Marit Edij. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I'm going to reach out back to you. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm going to reach out back to you via an email. Again, if you have any further questions or need any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. Any questions that did not get answered today, we will respond back to you via an email. Thank you again. Have a great day. Thanks, panelists.
All right.